Hello nerds and nerdettes, welcome back to the channel where once again we have a monthly haul video for you guys for the month of February, the shortest month of the year. Even though it's a shorter month, I feel like I got a decent amount of books in, still once again focusing mainly on indie titles and trying to flesh out that portion of my library. Quick disclaimer, for my manga fans, was a little light on manga once again. Next month is looking to be a little bit heavier, but for my manga fans, I won't have that much content for you. But stick around for some still very good titles because it's still an awesome haul, pretty decently sized haul. But before we do get into the haul itself, I do want to remind you guys, if you're looking for any of these books I'm about to mention or any of the ones behind me, head on over to Organic Price Books. Use the code STAYNERDY during checkout to get $2 off your order. Not only will it help out the amazing company, Organic Price Books, that has absolutely amazing customer service and packaging, but also helps out the channel, so I'd really appreciate that. Any support I can get from you guys is very much appreciated. But other than that, we can jump into the haul. Kind of starting it the way we start all the others, which is of course with manga, working our way into indie and then into the big two, but we can jump into manga. The one and only manga volume that I got this month, unfortunately, is still a whammy, which is Vinland Saga volume 13. This is my second favorite manga series I've ever read, I've ever experienced. And it's quickly shaping up to stay in the number 2, maybe even the number 1 spot. So many different directions this manga goes in. We are now in almost like a very family feeling / survival kind of feeling arc, which is so beautiful and also so entertaining at the same time to kind of see the family dynamic that's being built. Thorfinn developing into a leader. The family growing. If you've read this, you probably know what I'm kind of referencing to, but such a great series. I read this as soon as it came in, very similar to when I get Berserk volumes, and I loved it. It is such great. These are beautiful editions. I know we'll be getting a even better deluxe edition at some point, but I'll probably be sticking to these. But if you do want to jump into Vinland Saga, keep an eye out for that. But that does wrap up manga, unfortunately, so we can go ahead and jump into my indie titles. First up for my indie titles is Vampire State Building. If you watched my previous haul, I believe, you probably saw that I got Life Zero. This is actually put out by the exact same publishers. Has the artist from The Walking Dead, Charlie Allard, on it, but his artwork actually has colors in this, not like The Walking Dead. Similar to The Walking Dead, it is a survival horror story that focuses on the Empire State Building, pretty much due to construction, unearthing a vampire lord or king that activates a bunch of vampires in hiding, which then they essentially just attack the Empire State Building, trapping all of the occupants inside and forcing them to kind of survive. I have read this. It's a fairly short read, similar to Life Zero. It's not something you should take too serious. I'm pretty sure it's an international comic that has been translated, similar to Life Zero, and it's really good stuff. It's a bit of fun when you want to take a break from the historical heavy or character progression heavy kind of stories that are out there. I definitely recommend this for like horror fans or anybody that did pick up that Life Zero hardcover. Very similar kind of direction, storytelling. The art isn't as great. Obviously, I'm not a huge fan of Charlie Adlard's, which I'm probably in the minority there, but it still is very great. He definitely kills it, and it's a lot of fun. But we can jump to the next book, which is also a little bit of a blind buy. It is Cali by Dark Horse. I recently watched OmniDog's book club video. Shout out to that channel, very awesome channel. He's been doing it for a very long time. He's an OG in the kind of community YouTube game, but what a beautiful book. I don't know what I was expecting getting this book in, but it wasn't this. This book is absolutely massive for a size comparison. Here's that Vampire State Building. It's probably DC absolute size, but Obviously a hardcover. You have these beautiful end pages here, which I'm not sure how well that's coming up on camera. But on top of that, you also have this beautiful cover that is indeed a wraparound cover. This is probably one of the most beautiful books I've seen, eye-catching books, eye-striking books that just pulls you to it. And I wasn't expecting it at all to look like this. I saw the cover, but I was just thinking it was going to be a standard hardcover, but here we are, of course, Dark Horse, you know, throwing a crazy library edition. Story looks super awesome. It looks like a female-centric Mad Max kind of inspired story involving two sisters. That's just from my brief flip through. I haven't fully read this yet, but I am definitely putting it to the top of the TBR list, and I'm very excited to check it out. And I'll let you guys know what I think, of course, on one of my social medias, so be on the lookout for that. We'll jump to the next book. Or maybe I should say set of books. This is me focusing and finishing out Saga in these deluxe hardcover formats. This is all that's been released so far. Saga is probably my favorite, if not my second favorite indie title that I've ever read. It's also the comic that I recommend to people just getting into comics the most. It is absolutely beautiful. Brian K. Vaughan at his best, literally his best. We have been told that he's, I believe, at the halfway point of his story, so I would expect maybe 3 more hardcover volumes to come out to complete the series. Once we got to that point, they just recently returned from a hiatus on the title, so that's not for a very long time, but these hardcovers are absolutely beautiful. They look great on the shelf, great spine, great paper quality. Can't recommend them enough, but obviously there are compendiums and trade paperbacks out there if this isn't the route you want to go. But great title, cannot recommend it enough. I am through the moon that I've completed it at this point, at least. And I'm super excited to give it a reread, even though that probably won't be happening until the near future, but still super exciting. So we can jump to the next set of books, which, if you can't tell, are volumes 1, 3, 11, and 12 of Invincible in the Ultimate Collections. We can pull this down so you guys can see my face. I'm not doing home improvement. Great additions for Invincible. We have so many additions at this point between trade paperbacks, paperback compendiums. We recently got a hardcover compendium. The library editions are being resolicited again with a volume 4, so it looks like they're planning on completing that run. And then obviously the Ultimate Collection run as well, or hardcovers as well. I have made my decision that I'm going to commit to the Ultimate Collections. I just like that they're oversized, a little bit easier to hold, look great on the shelf, but most of all, they're the exact same trim as Savage Dragon, and I think they would be absolutely beautiful sharing a shelf together, the Ultimate Collection. So that's really the main reason I went this route. Great route is that hardcover compendium though. Can't recommend the series enough. If you're in the community in any capacity, you've probably heard about Invincible. You probably watched the show on Amazon Prime. Absolutely amazing. Robert Kirkman, between this and Walking Dead, are probably his magnum opuses. I don't know if that's a plural for that, but great stuff. If you like superheroes, if you like action, if you like romance, blood and gore, this has it all. And it's not campy superheroes. It's definitely a little bit more kind of glamorized, but not at the same time. A little bit deconstructed in a way, but still a lot of fun. You get everything through these pages, and I can't recommend it enough. Great additions in these Ultimate collections as well. Pretty much omnibus size. But that does wrap up my indie titles, so we will jump into the big 2, starting initially with DC. First up are 3 DC hardcovers. We have Damian, Son of Batman. We have JSA Golden Age, and we have JLA Year 1. Pretty much why these are grouped together. Pulling this down quickly. I got all 3 of these from Ollie's. I know some of us do know about Ollie's, but this is pretty much just to show that Ollie's is definitely a valuable resource when searching for books or balling on a budget when searching for books. All three of these were over 50% off. You have 2 or 3 deluxe editions, oversized, great treatment of the material, all for below 50% off. You cannot shake a stick at that. Damian, son of Batman, Andy Kubert, Damian in the future being a darker kind of Batman, very similar to that Dark Detective, if this isn't collected in that. Not 100% sure on that, but still, Andy Kubert. JSA Golden Age, James Robinson, going over the Golden Age of the JSA, 1940s. And then JLA Year One by Mark Waid, such a huge name there, going over the first year that the JLA kind of was together. It's a kind of brief retelling, great starting point if you want to get to know the Justice League of America. But great titles, all from Ollie's. Definitely saved a lot of money here. And sometimes you can even find like out of print books at Ollie's. So if you're looking for books and you're just kind of searching, try out your local Ollie's if it's in your area. I can't recommend it enough, as well as like book depository kind of businesses. You can find a lot of really good stuff there. You don't need to always, hop on Amazon or wherever else. If money is tight, try those spots. I can definitely recommend that and say sometimes you'll find stuff. It really depends on your area. My Ollie's isn't booming with books, but I was still able to find these 3 great titles for amazing prices. So that's super exciting, and I can't recommend Ollie's enough. Very awesome when you're a little tight on scratch. But we'll jump to the next DC book, which is going to be Identity Crisis by Brad Meltzer. Not too sure if this cover is picking up because of the lights. This is the deluxe edition. Beautiful treatment of the material again. As you guys know, I kind of stick to omnis or deluxe edition or hardcovers in general, unless it pertains to manga sometimes. But I've had this story in another format for a very long time. It was time to upgrade, if you will. I was out of town, which one thing I love to do when traveling is kind of check out local comic book shops, try to buy something, do my part to support a small business in multiple areas that I kind of head to. This is kind of the exact same story for this specific book. It was time to upgrade it. I love Identity Crisis. So important to kind of the Justice League's history, Tim Drake's history as well. Such big events happening in this book for the character of Tim Drake. So definitely a very important story. Definitely an important story going into like Infinite Crisis and some of the Crisis events as well. A lot of people aren't huge fans, but the ones that are stand by the story. I actually am a fan. I feel like stakes are extremely high, and it's definitely some required reading for a lot of events in the DC universe. But this is a deluxe edition. It's absolutely beautiful. Art throughout is amazing by Rags. And I'm super excited to actually have it into the library in hardcover since then I didn't really have it. But very great stuff. Can't recommend it anymore or any higher. And we can jump to the first DC Omnibus. First and only DC Omnibus in this month's haul is Dark Knight's Metal. I do have a review on this book on my channel. I'll leave that up above somewhere. But a real quick like synopsis. So this is Scott Snyder's event in the DC universe, introducing the Dark Multiverse, diving deeper into the multiverse, into a lot of things that Grant Morrison kind of established and he's just building onto. You got a lot of super cool alternate evil versions of Batman, like Devastator, Dawnbreaker, The Drowned, Red Death, if you watch The Flash. This is where he made his appearance as well. But most of all, this is also the first appearance of the Batman Who Laughs, who obviously made a much bigger kind of splash in the DC universe once he went into death metal and into kind of the era of DC that we're kind of currently in. So definitely really good stuff. Some required reading if you were reading comics currently, but not new reader friendly. There's a lot of lore intertwined, involving some obscure characters, some important characters, things that happened during other writers' runs. But definitely a lot of fun. Greg Capullo on art, as well as a bunch of amazing names like Jim Lee, John Romita Jr. But definitely check this out. if you do want to kind of find out how the, I guess, rebirth kind of era of DC eventually came to an end in Death Metal, because this is the direct lead up to that event. Next up, we're going into Marvel books. So we have a Marvel original graphic novel in these smaller trimmed hardcovers, but this is Rage of Ultron, a very fun kind of what if story involving Ultron and Hank Pym kind of melding minds in a way. I don't want to give away too much. That may have already, don't know. It's definitely worth the read. It's a lot of fun. Focuses on, obviously, Ultron, has the Avengers. Vision is very much involved as well. A lot of really good stuff. Sam Wilson, Captain America's in here. And it's a pretty good read. It's definitely a lot better than Endless Wartime, whatever that other original graphic novel is that I wasn't a huge fan of. This I actually have read before, where I didn't read that one before, and this is a lot of fun. I definitely recommend it for people that just want kind of a quick break from the history-heavy or lore-heavy Marvel universe, but we can jump to the next set of books. Next up is two books that kind of coincide each other. We have Death of Wolverine and Hunt of Wolverine. I feel like this title kind of already spoils what this particular hardcover is about, but I'm not going to touch on it too much just in case. But Hunt for Wolverine focuses very much on kind of his supporting cast, including some villains, because this was taking place after the Axis event, I believe. So a lot of villainous characters were switched and kind of transformed into good guys for a temporary period of time. A lot of fun. You obviously get Daken, X-23, Sabretooth, Lady Deathstrike, a lot of Wolverine-centric kind of characters making a appearance here. Both, I feel like, have very high stakes, which makes the story even more enjoyable. Great art throughout, on top of these beautiful covers. This hardcover features one of my favorite Wolverine costumes, I guess, even though it's kind of armor in a way, but it's super beautiful. Love it. I know it's a very limited kind of costume and it served a purpose, but still a lot of fun. I'm not a huge Wolverine fan, but I like to get kind of his important stories into the library, even though I'm not necessarily going to want those omnibuses, but still a lot of good stuff, a lot of fun, and I'm super excited to have it, especially Hunt for Wolverine, because I believe this is fairly out of print, at least in this oversized hardcover format. So that's super exciting, but that does wrap up the hardcovers, or the standard or oversized hardcovers, so we can jump into the Marvel omnibuses. First up is Miles Morales Spider-Man Volume 2. Obviously, I recently got Volume 1, which I believe was in the last haul. This month, I picked up the second volume. Miles Morales is one of my favorite Spider-Men. Typically, I kind of seesaw in between Miles Morales and Ben Reilly, and this picks up with his story in the 616 universe. I do have a review for this book on the channel if you want even more information or discussion about this specific book. But I'm super happy that he got 2 volumes in omnibus format. He's definitely deserving of it, and I'm super excited, especially because we just got the announcement that the Ultimate Universe is going to make its reappearance again. We don't have a whole lot of information, but we do know Miles Morales and the Maker will be making or having a very big role to play in it. So that's super exciting coming from Jonathan Hickman and Brian Hitch collab. So once again, if you want to jump into that little mini series, which I think will be 4 issues, you obviously want to know Miles Morales. So these 2 volumes would be great to pick up or brush up on, but I'll leave the link to the video somewhere up above if I haven't already. Next up, we have Avengers by Kurt Busiek, George Perez. The Avengers run during the early 90s, late 80s, taking place right after the Heroes Reborn, the return kind of initiation or jump into the new era of Marvel. George Perez's art throughout is absolutely beautiful. Definitely shows why he's one of the greats in the hobby, so rest in peace to him. And obviously you have Kurt Busiek, a living encyclopedia for comic books, writing the book, which is super exciting. A lot of lore ingrained in some of his stories, but even then, still a great jumping on point because it's a brand new era at Marvel. I have reviewed this on the channel, which I'll leave the link up above if you want to check that out, or we can jump to the next book. Next up, we have Ultimate Spider-Man Volume 2, the Omnibus. Super exciting that it's looking like we're going to finish this entire series in omnibus format, which is absolutely awesome. Great title, great jumping on point. A lot of people's favorite runs on the character of Spider-Man, even though this takes place in the Ultimate Universe and not in the 616. But I do have a review for not only Volume 1, but also this volume on the channel. So if you want to get a little bit more detail on the omnibus itself, you can check that up above. I'll probably leave Volume 1 and then you can jump to Volume 2 from there. But very awesome book. I cannot recommend this enough if you want to get into Marvel Comics, the character of Spider-Man. Anything Ultimate Universe is a great jumping on point, a great initiation point. So definitely check those out if you are a new reader. We'll jump to the final book of this monthly haul. Last but not least is none other than Captain America by Nick Spencer, the Omnibus. Recently, we got news of a solicitation for Volume 2. This is the run that immediately follows Captain America by Rick Remender. So if you did enjoy that omnibus, this is kind of the continuation of that story. A somewhat infamous and controversy-filled story, to the point the events in this book were making headlines. Don't want to spoil anything there, what exactly it was. I do have a spoiler-free review on the channel if you want to check that out for a little bit more information. But I can't recommend it enough. It's definitely not for everyone, admittedly, but I really enjoyed this run. I love the character of Captain America, my favorite superhero ever, so this was a no-brainer for me to pick up. But with a Volume 2 coming out, no better time to kind of pick this up in preparation for that Volume 2 once it does eventually come out, which I believe is next year at some point or something like that. Don't quote me on that, but great title. I think it's a lot of fun. I don't think it's the best Captain America run, but I also think it gets way more hate than it's deserving of because of all the controversy and infamy kind of wrapped around the title. But super good stuff. Definitely check it out if you are a fan of Captain America, but be prepared that it is a little jarring, some of the events that take place if you haven't read it already. But that does wrap up the monthly haul, so we can jump to, I guess, my future self for the outro of the video. So that does wrap up today's video on the haul for the month of February. Like I said, even though it was a shorter month like it is every year, I still was able to get some pretty decent pickups. It was still a heavy month release-wise. It's looking like next month might be a little lighter for me as a collector, which I'm actually kind of happy for. There's a little bit of a backlog of books that I do need to pick up, as well as kind of just save a little bit of money. So not too mad at that, but you can definitely be on the lookout for my top releases of the month of March coming out soon. But thank you so much for watching. As always, I cannot just say enough how thankful I am that you guys tune in, subscribe, and support the channel. It's really just, it takes my breath away just how much you guys really, support the channel and me as a creator. I'm going to keep trying to put out content as much as possible. Just comment down below what type of content you'd like to see more of, or what books you'd like to see more of. If you'd like overviews over reviews, whatever direction this channel kind of goes in is going to be completely based off what you as the viewer enjoy the most. So comment down below and just let me know. I'm willing to do absolutely anything for you guys. Also comment down below what you guys picked up this month. I'm always interested in what the community, what the viewers are picking up. I think a lot of times some books fall under radar or I forget about them. So it's nice to hear from you guys. So not only can it jog my memory, but also start a little bit of a conversation, which I always love to have with you guys as much as possible. But I do really appreciate each and every one of you. But if you are not a part of the Illuminati, hit that subscribe button. I'd really appreciate it. It's an amazing community with amazing people. Also, I very much appreciate you hitting that thumbs up button. It helps the channel immensely. You can also hit that bell icon so you can get notified anytime I put out any content on the channel. But other than that, thank you so much for watching. As always, I hope you guys enjoyed yourself, and of course, stay nerdy.